people would really love to know how Vincent Falcone met Harry Sukman.
Well, I'd be my pleasure to tell you how. I had the unbelievable good fortune of being Frank Sinatra's pianist and musical director for a few years. And, of course, Mr. Sinatra knew Harry because Harry had written the music to the movie in which he appeared called The Naked Runner. And there was a period where Mr. Sinatra used to feature me at the piano in the show, whereby he would actually get on the podium and conduct the orchestra, and I would play a featured piece of music. The first one was one that I wrote myself and arranged and so forth, and he liked it so much he decided to call Harry, unbeknownst to me, and ask Harry to write one or two more arrangements which would feature me, and he sent me to Harry's house. At that time, the Sukmans lived in Westwood, and I was in L.A. with Mr. Sinatra, and I went to his home, and he could not have been more generous. He was, first of all, for those of you who don't know, Harry Sukman was not only an incredible composer, but he was an unbelievable pianist. I mean, he sat down at the piano, and he played something, and I almost swallowed my tongue. I mean, he was just phenomenal, and a concert pianist. So he asked me to sit and play, and I did. And for whatever the reason, I'm always grateful, he liked what he heard, and he went ahead and did write those arrangements. But more than that, he kind of took me under his wing, and he started to show me things about arranging, and he started to, he actually was responsible for getting me into ASCAP. He sponsored me into ASCAP. He did some very wonderful things for me, personally as well as musically, and I just was in awe of the man. And Susan at that time was just, what were you, 3 or 4 years old?
Oh, yeah, of course.
And over the years, after Harry passed away, I found out about it, and of course he passed away in a way that I hope happens to me. He was performing, as I understand it, and he passed away at his performance. He got up and finished his performance and went, and that's the way. But anyways,
to a standing ovation, I must say.
Yes, to a standing ovation. I mean, you can't go any better than that.
No, you can't.
So I lost track of Susan. She was not married at the time, and I thought of her many times over the years. I used to think, I don't even know her last name, so how in the world could I ever find her? But as luck would have it, she knew Jack Jones, and I was playing piano for Jack, and one day I guess they were talking, and she said, "Do you know Vinnie Falcone?" He said, "No, he plays for me." And Jack gave her my number. She called me, and we re-established our acquaintance, and it's been great. I did a performance in Hartford where she dedicated, in the University of Hartford, dedicated a room to the memory of Harry. And I went there and performed with the symphony and did his music, and then I did 2 or 3 trio numbers as a feature and brought in 2 great musicians from New York, and we did a trio number, and she liked it so much she said, "Would you consider doing a CD of my father's music?" And what I have done is taken his incredible orchestral symphonic music and tried to put a jazz flavor to it, and which is what I had done at that concert, and she liked it so much. And over the next couple of years, I worked on the music, and it finally came to fruition a few months ago. And that's how I met Harry, and that's how this whole thing came to be.
So, Vinnie, how was it working with Harry Sukman on the arrangements for Mr. Sinatra?
Well, actually, what I did was I did what he wanted. He was the boss on that one. He designed these arrangements so that it would feature the piano, but then he also wrote cadenzas for these arrangements. And actually, to be honest, the orchestrations were a little bit too challenging for Mr. Sinatra as a conductor, because he wasn't really a conductor, but he knew enough about music that when he moved his arms, the orchestra understood what it was that he was trying to get from them. But these arrangements were so complex that it took it put a real challenge on Mr. S. But I did what Harry wrote. I really did not have much input into it, except for the fact that he did give me the prerogative of putting my own harmonies to the music. He gave me that latitude.
Warm Heart, Cool Hands. Who came up with the title?
Susan did.
I did.
It says it all, and I'm a great believer in short titles that tell it all, and that certainly does.
I think, it's funny how titles come to you. I was trying to think of something very meaningful, and it had some feeling to it, and I don't know. It was like in the middle of the night. It suddenly seemed right because the music was being performed by someone who had a warm feeling for the music as well as the man who wrote it, and I thought because he has a warm heart and because he certainly has cool hands, if you listen to this, it just seemed right.
Well, it absolutely says it all. And how did you go about selecting, Harry Sukman wrote lots and lots of music. How did you go about selecting the 14 cuts that are on there?
Very insightful question.
Was a Ouija board involved?
Oh, that was very difficult. What I tried to do was I tried to pick those pieces of music which I felt would lend themselves to the treatment which I gave them. There were some pieces of music that I found were either too specific towards the theme which they were representing for me to be able to change them. Even the ones that I did were very, very challenging, and it took quite some time, and each time I would develop a theme for each one of them. I would call Susan and play it for her and ask her if she agreed with the treatment, and that's what took so long. It took quite a long time to find a way, and she sent me a ton of music, and of course I'm familiar with a lot of it. But there are some things that that I felt anyways that I could not put into the style that I wanted. And so naturally you can only do 10 or 12 songs on a CD, so at least at the length that we did them. And so I had to pick those which I thought were most adaptable.